Hello, everyone. Um, my name is Dr. James Smith, and you've come to this channel called Living Deliberately, which is my YouTube channel, where I have put on a few different videos of meditations to help us live more deliberately, to live more mindfully, really. I've been a mindfulness practitioner for close to 30 years. It was first introduced to me when I was a young man by some monks, and I've been taught mindfulness by some therapists that I've worked with for my own personal growth, and this was years ago. So I've been practicing mindfulness in my own life for nearly 30 years. I've studied Mark Williams and John Kabat-Zinn and Thich Nhat Hanh and Teasdale and several of the other mindfulness leaders that help to bring mindfulness into the mainstream thought in the Western world here. Um, what I wanted to provide was a few videos, and we'll call this part one, really, where we're going to just kind of explore mindfulness and explain what mindfulness really is. Um, Mindfulness should not be reduced ever to relaxation techniques. And so I hear it said quite often, let's do some mindfulness so we can relax a little bit. And what folks need to understand is that as soon as someone says, let's do mindfulness so that we can relax, that person is no longer being mindful, which is really what mindfulness is about. Mindfulness is not doing something. It's not a set of skills that we can do, and then boom, we're mindful. Mindfulness is really a way of being. And so even when we're not mindful, when we find ourselves not being mindful, we have moved in the direction of mindfulness because we have become aware that we're not aware. And so that's a step in the right direction. So what I want to do is I want to take a little bit of time of your day today and just kind of walk through kind of the first steps of what mindfulness is, just to kind of introduce it to you. And we're going to start by doing this foundational exercise. It's going to take about 5 minutes. We're just going to take 5 minutes, and I'm going to lead us in this foundational exercise of mindful focus. We're going to become mindful of our breath. So I invite you now, wherever you are, to just get comfortable in your chair or wherever it is that you are. And I invite you to just breathe. You've come to this video, and you know that this video is probably going to be a little bit of length, so you set aside time just to be present with this video that you're watching. So I invite you just to ground yourself in this moment. Just breathe. Noticing in our bodies the place where we experience our breath. Some people notice their breath in their mouth. Other people notice it in their nose, some in the back of their throat. Some people notice their breath in the gentle rise and sinking of their shoulders, or the expansion and contraction of their chest or abdomen area. I just invite you to notice your breath, wherever it is that you feel yourself breathing. as you attend to your breath, you'll probably start noticing that your mind starts to wander. And that's okay, because that's what the brain is designed to do. The brain is designed to think. Sometimes we are simply unaware of what we're thinking about. We're thinking and we're focused on that thought, but we're not aware that we're thinking or focused on the thought. We're just doing it. We're bringing awareness to what we're thinking about by focusing in on our breath, noticing when our mind wanders, and just bringing it back gently and firmly to this moment. This place, this time, wherever you are, whenever you are. Just being present. And I invite you now to bring your attention back up to the room that you're in, to the area around you, and to this video. We're going to move forward now on our slideshow in mindfulness. So Mark Williams and John Kabat-Zinn and the others defined mindfulness as the awareness that emerges from paying attention to the present moment on purpose, non-judgmentally, to things as they are. So you'll find this definition in several of their writings. I think of Mark Williams' book, The Mindful Way Through Depression, and I think of John Kabat-Zinn's book on mindfulness, where he lays out his 8-week process towards a happier life. So this definition is found in those books. Mindfulness is the awareness that emerges from paying attention to the present moment on purpose, non-judgmentally, to things as they are. So what we're going to find as we kind of explore mindfulness a little bit is that there are actually three what I have identified, and I hope that John Teasdale and others may explore this and would affirm this. There are three primary principles that are identified to be mindful in our experiences. So, three primary principles are present focused awareness of the self and other in relationship, non-judgmental acceptance with curious observation of experience, and loving kindness. So these core principles of mindfulness kind of provide a guide, and if we can develop an attitude of awareness, and keep these core principles in front of us, I think we can just be happier in our lives. I know that I have found relationships improved and work improved and activities richer for me. Just some really exciting things that happen when we practice these core principles of mindfulness. Um, we begin to see the richness of the tapestry of our lives. So, what we're going to do in some videos here is we're going to explore each one of these individually. So, but with the core principles of mindfulness, we're going to start just by kind of naming them very generally and then explore them one at a time in separate videos. So, present focused awareness, self and other in relationship. One of the more uh, ethereal and difficult concepts that we experience in mindfulness is the idea that our awareness is really awareness of a whole, and not different parts. You see, like right now, in this very moment, I am sitting in an office chair, in my office, in my home office, in my home. Um, as I record this video, I'm sitting here in this office chair, and the reality is that I'm having an experience in this moment of sitting in this chair, the chair that I'm in. Um, the only reason that I'm having the experience of sitting in this chair is because it is this chair that I'm sitting in. And that sounds kind of silly when you think about it, but what we're really saying is that myself, as I experience myself in this moment, is influenced by my relationship with another thing in existence. And sometimes that other thing is a person, right? But the reason I am the way I am in this moment is because I am in relationship with another. I am I am sitting in this chair and having my experience of sitting in this chair, comfortable or uncomfortable or otherwise, because I'm sitting in this chair, right? I would only be having this experience if I'm sitting in this chair. If I were sitting in a different chair, or if I were standing, I'd be having a different experience right now. So the experience that I'm having in this moment is dependent on the relationship that I'm experiencing with another thing, or perhaps another person. I am a counselor educator, part-time, and the only way that I can be an educator is if there are students in a counseling program that I'm educating, right? And the only way that they can be students in a counseling program is if there's an educator to teach them. So you see, the experiences that we have are dependent on those relationships, just like me sitting in this chair. Um, I am married and I have an experience of being a husband, but the only reason I'm having the experience of being a husband is because I have my wife. If I were married to a different woman, I would have a different experience of being a husband. I'm very happy to be married to the woman I'm married to, and having the experience of being a husband that I'm having. So, so it's a very comfortable relationship, right? But there are other relationships that are less comfortable to us. You know, maybe we're unhappy in our work. Well, the reason that we're unhappy in our work is because we're in a relationship with our work. And so, what is it about me and what is it about the other that makes this experience what it is? And so we're trying to bring this to our conscious awareness. We're trying to bring this to our conscious awareness. What is it about me and what is it about the other that makes this experience what it is? And one of the things that we have to understand um, in this is that just like in this model that's on the screen right now, the self and the other, all that I really have control over is what in this model is in the blue. I have control over myself, and I have control over what I do in my interactions with the other. So that's the blue arrow that arches across the top there. I only have control over myself and how I interact with the other. I do not have any control over the other or how the other interacts with me. And so all of these things contribute to the experience. We're going to dive much more deeply into this in an upcoming video. So I'm just going to leave this one where it is right now, and just want you to practice being aware of the idea that whatever you're experiencing in the moment you're experiencing because of the relationship that exists between you and another thing. Perhaps you're drinking coffee right now. If it's hot coffee, you have an experience of drinking hot coffee. If you're drinking iced coffee, you're having an experience of drinking iced coffee. But if you had a 7-Up in front of you, you'd have a different experience. So our experiences exist as a whole. And I just want to invite you to just kind of contemplate that a little bit. We'll move forward with our meditation. Another element that we need to consider in present focused awareness is that the brain is designed for mindlessness, not mindfulness. Our brain is hardwired to to observe and store and recall patterns in our lives. Our brain is hardwired to observe, store, and recall patterns in our lives. And so there's a beautiful show about this. If you're familiar with the television program Brain Games, which you can find on Disney Plus, this is not an advertisement to go and subscribe to Disney Plus. Don't need to do that if you don't want to. But Brain Games season 4, episode 9, and it's called Patterns, just talks about this in a really kind of fun way. So if you have Disney Plus, I would just invite you to watch that. And if you don't, there's no need to. I'm sure that you can find information about it elsewhere. But I want to just demonstrate something to you. Here in the top row, we have a pattern: capital B, lower c, capital D, lower e, capital F, lower g, capital H, lower I. So what would the next object in this pattern be, right? You're probably thinking it's going to be a capital J, and you would be correct. If we're looking at this pattern, the next letter in that row would be capital J. So we go down and we have a lowercase r and a blank space and a lowercase t and a blank space. And if you're like most people, you're going to think, well, a capital S goes in the first blank space and a capital U goes in the second blank space, because that completes that pattern, right? But I never told you that the bottom was like the top. You see? So that quickly, within just a few seconds, your brain observed, recorded, and then recalled a pattern, and you filled in those blank spaces. But the fact is that that R and that T could be the word rate, R-A-T-E. In which case the pattern doesn't hold, right? And that's what happens a lot of times in our thinking. Lived experiences create patterns for us in our thinking. Lived experiences create patterns for us in our thinking. And our brain will restore these patterns, and then it will recall them in the form of expectations. so that we begin to expect certain things to happen in the future. And then we begin to assess our experiences based on these prior patterns that have created these expectations, right? Expectations are based on prior patterns, though we may not have enough information to judge whether the pattern is correct in the circumstances that we're in. So our brain is applying these patterns unconsciously, creating expectations of ourselves and other people's behaviors. And what mindfulness teaches us to do, because our brain is hardwired to do this mindlessly, right? That it just does it, and it does it at a level of unconsciousness, below our level of consciousness. In mindfulness, what we want to do is bring those things up to the level of our conscious awareness so that I am aware of what I'm doing. So this is what present focused awareness is, and we're going to explore this more deeply again in future videos. So I have some homework for you as we begin these videos. I want you to do this for about a week. So take your time, but here's some homework for you as you begin to adopt this attitude of mindfulness in your own life. Your first homework assignment is to pick an activity that you do daily and pay attention to doing it each day throughout the week. So this could be anything. It could be taking care of the dishes, it could be showering, it could be getting dressed, it could be eating, it could be cooking, it could be having a conversation with someone that you talk to daily. It could be an activity at your work or a leisure activity that you engage in. So we're going to do it daily. It's just something that you are used to doing on a daily basis. Pay attention to doing it each day throughout the week. Don't just do it and then be done with it. Pay attention. When you're getting dressed, pay attention. And I find it helps a lot when we use our senses to help us in these activities. So, if you choose getting dressed, for example, and you start getting dressed, smell your clothes before you put them on. Do they smell like your laundry detergent or a fabric softener? Feel the texture of the cloth of your clothing in your fingers before you put them on. Feel the sensation of like slipping your shirt over your arms, or if you're wearing a t-shirt, to pulling that shirt over your head. What does that feel like? What does that smell like? Right? And just use your senses as much as possible to pay attention when you're doing the activity. When you're doing the activity, refrain as much as is possible from doing anything else. Maintain mindful awareness of the activity. So that's the first homework assignment that I invite you to do. And before we get into the next video, or do the next video, before you watch the next video, and just do it for about a week. Whatever day you're on, today's the day to start. And, do it for a week, and then in a week's time, you can watch the next video that I put out. Homework assignment 2 is to change something that you've gotten into a pattern of doing. So, for example, most people, when they sit down to eat, they sit in the same seat at a table, or they drive the same route to a destination that you visit, or, when you go to work, do you drive the same way to work every time? When you go home from work, are you driving the same route home? Do something a little bit differently, you're sitting down to watch TV in the evening with your family, sit in a little bit different spot, right? See how your family reacts to that. Or if you sit down to eat as a family, sit in a different chair and see what happens when your family members come in and you've disrupted everybody's routine by doing something just a little bit differently. So that's your second homework assignment. Your first homework assignment is to pick an activity that you do daily, continue to do it the same way that you've always done it, but pay attention while you're doing it. The second homework assignment is again to pick another activity, a second activity that you do daily, but to do it a little bit differently and just change that pattern. And then observe what your own internal experience is when you change that pattern. So we're going to get you started with these two homework assignments um, in your mindfulness practice. So I just want to thank you for inviting me to share this information with you. You didn't have to watch this video, and I hope it's going to be helpful to you. There are going to be other videos that are going to be published on the channel here. So we'll consider this video, title this video Mindfulness Part 1. And so I just want to thank you for allowing me to share these minutes with you. And I hope it'll be helpful. And take a look at, in about a week, come back and take a look at Mindfulness Part 2. And we'll just go through and just do this very basic kind of instruction in mindfulness. So thank you again. I hope you are well and that you have a wonderful day.